Westchase is a super popular area on the west side of Tampa, probably one of the best suburbs right in the middle of town. I know we've made a few videos about it, but I want to come back and share some new thoughts. Here we go. Sam, and thanks for coming by the Living in Tampa channel, where we make videos about what it's like to live in Tampa. Today we're talking about Westchase. Also, we are a team of realtors in the Tampa area, so if you want to buy, sell, anything like that, real estate related, you have some questions about neighborhoods, whatever it is, we would love to hop on a Zoom call. Please call, text, or email, and we can set that up. I know we've made a few videos about Westchase, but those were pretty early in this channel, so I want to come back and revisit a few ideas and add some more context. So we live in Tarpon Springs, but we go to a church over in the Westchase area, and it's a really beautiful drive over to this west side of Westchase, right along Racetrack Road. And we were driving the other day, and I thought, I really need to make some new Westchase videos because I feel like I understand the area even better now. And then that idea was even further propelled as I was talking to some friends at church who started in Westchase, living in Westchase about 2 years ago, and now just moved out of Westchase for some very specific reasons. So they moved to Lutz. We've talked about Lutz before. The reason they moved was because they want a bigger yard. So their first kid had just turned 2, they're about to have another kid, and mostly the husband of the family wanted a bigger yard. And the wife of the family grew up in Tampa and really loved Westchase, wanted to live in Westchase, but overall their family just felt a little crowded. I mean, Westchase has big houses and it's very well planned and feels spacious in a lot of areas, but places still have pretty small yards. Places are still very neighborhood feeling. Let's go back real quick and define what is Westchase. So Westchase is an area, an unincorporated area right on the edge of Tampa. This very specific zip code, 33626. And I've even heard people joke about the 626. I hate that kind of thing. It's probably easy to avoid in Westchase, but some people do kind of feel that way about this special zip code. I don't know why that kind of stuff bugs me so much. You know, probably because I grew up in such a small town where you don't even have options. I went to one school because that was the school that we had, and I don't know, maybe I'm just judging people. Another thing I want to clarify is what is surrounding Westchase. So if we go in clockwise direction, starting up north, 12 o'clock, we have Odessa. Odessa Keystone. We made some recent videos about that, linked above. And that Odessa area, especially where it touches Westchase, is very rural and open, very beautiful. As you go around the clock, you go to Citrus Park. Citrus Park is getting a little more city feeling. There's a mall there. There's a main kind of thoroughfare commute road that goes through that area. Then as you come around to the south side, the 6 o'clock orientation on the clock of Westchase, you have Town and Country. Town and Country is a pretty big area. It's 80, 90,000 people, very fast growing area. Definitely a lower income area than Westchase, even though there are still some really nice, beautiful places, even waterfront places in Town and Country. But Town and Country is very residential, even if it's kind of all ranges of houses. There's not a big mall there. It does border some industrial area like West Shore, where there is more shopping and industrial stuff like the airport and things like that. But in general, Town and Country is mostly residential. And then heading over to the 9 o'clock orientation of Westchase, you have Oldsmar. Oldsmar is actually in Pinellas County. So Oldsmar is kind of this passover, what they call it, a flyover city. Kind of commuters go through it. And there's some little really cool areas off of this commute track of Hillsborough Road and Tampa Road. So in Pinellas County, it's Tampa Road, so that's what I know it as. But in Hillsborough County, it's Hillsborough Road. It's the same road that goes through this area. But Oldsmar is a really cool area. Not a whole lot of people there, but there are some really cool houses. So on the north and west sides of Westchase, it's bordered by really kind of interesting areas. And then on the east and south sides, they're a lot less interesting, a lot more city-like, and just a lot more population in general. One of the things you might really love about the Westchase area is it does feel very planned. We've talked about that a little bit before, even in this video. What do I mean by planned? It doesn't feel like it's super crowded. It doesn't feel like Houses are on top of each other. And you feel like green space and parks and things like that are prioritized. Like even just this median in the middle of this neighborhood, just like full of palms and pine trees. It's so quiet. So it's a Thursday morning, it's 10 o'clock, and I am getting some looks as I'm like rolling through this neighborhood with my camera. People don't love that, I guess. But one of the things you might really love about this area is it has a very suburban vibe, but still is pretty accessible to the city. Now, traffic could get a little wild. It might take a while to get downtown, but through like main roads and toll roads and all those kind of things, you can get access to stuff pretty easily. Another really cool part about this area is you do have easier access to the beach compared to a lot of the suburbs. So because you're so far onto the west side of the city, the beach is not as awful of a drive. Another reason that people choose Westchase is whether or not they can afford it. So if you can afford it, if you're like retiring or you have good equity built up in your house, or you're moving from a way more expensive market into this market, which is starting to feel expensive, like the budget is usually a big factor of whether or not Westchase is right for you. Some other options that have some similarities, like they feel suburban, but they still have pretty easy access to downtown. As you look along this like stretch of highway to the north of the area, Highway 54 runs east and west, and the closer you are to that 589 Veterans Expressway, the easier it is to get downtown. And we talked about that in some of those recent Odessa videos, but those Odessa neighborhoods that feel similar to this. Then there's some similar neighborhoods in Land O'Lakes and Lutz that all feel kind of similar to this and still have pretty easy access to the city. And you know, the reason you would choose those instead of this is typically because of budget, or because, like my friends, you just want a little bit more space than Westchase yards typically offer. A couple details that people have asked me about, so I want to include them here. Costco, very accessible to the Westchase area. There's one in Citrus Park, pretty much right on the other side of Westchase. So the southeast corner of Westchase, there's a Costco right there. Trader Joe's, the closest one, is gonna be in South Tampa. So that's 25 to 30 minutes, depending on traffic. It's not a super pleasant drive, but if you can avoid commute times or busy times, it's not too bad. Whole Foods is right in that area as well. The closest one, there's a few throughout Tampa. There's one north into like Carrollwood, Northdale. And then there's one in South Tampa, that Midtown area, a newer area along Highway 60. But both of those are pretty equidistant from Westchase. So 25, 20, 30 minutes, something like that. Downtown is gonna be about 30 minutes from the Westchase area. And then the beach is also about 30 minutes. You know, downtown, it seems like it's close to downtown, but the reason it's a little bit slower than some areas is just because of the roads you have to take. They're not very fast roads. Of course, people are gonna ask like average home prices and things like that in Westchase. It's really hard to buy a house in Westchase for less than like $550 right now. It is the end of 2022. We're kind of at all-time high with prices. I think they'll relax a little bit, you know, but even if it just came down 5%, that's not that much. There's a lot of different housing in the area. So like townhouses, apartments, big houses, small houses, gated neighborhoods, non-gated neighborhoods. But all of it has kind of a similar vibe. We hope you found this video useful, and I would love to hear any questions you have about the Westchase area down in the comments. Please put questions in there. I'd love to get back to you with some feedback, but those questions also just help me know what to talk about in the next videos. Would love to hear what you guys have to say about the area, and thanks for coming by.